Well, here we are. Space Cowboy here. So, we're going to be talking about my grandfather and my grandmother. And they were two really pretty awesome people. I really had a wonderful life upbringing as a little East Texan little kid. I was not a cowboy growing up. This didn't really happen until later in life. But I think what's interesting is that my grandfather was pretty much kind of a true East Texan cowboy. He really knew kind of the roots of horseback riding and going hunting and living on the land and, dealing with the population of people that were in East Texas. So he came from kind of a long lineage of that. Like his grandfather was in the Civil War. He was in the Confederate Army thing, doing that. He rode horses. He rode horseback like all the way to Georgia and back to East Texas, and somehow survived and didn't get killed. I don't know how. His brother got killed in some battle, but he died. I'm just going to tell their story a little bit. But, I'm sure fighting in the Civil War for 4 years, he was gone. I mean, just like at 18 years old, joined the Texas Legion, whatever little Confederate army there was around here, and fought all these battles and rode horseback all the way to Georgia and back. Is just pretty crazy to think, like he really didn't have anything to lose, I guess. So it is interesting that my grandfather kind of came from that, just toughness and bruteness. I don't know if bruteness is a word. I'm making that up, but he was pretty tough guy. So anyway, when I was a kid, we would go horseback riding, every Thanksgiving and Christmas. And really just any time family came around, Grandpa was wanting to go horseback riding with the family. And so, we did that a little bit. I got to see horses get saddled up, and he would ride his little Buick out in the pasture. He had this little Buick Regal. He would ride out in the pasture, and he would drive these little four-door cars like they were trucks. He would just drive them out in the pasture, and we'd go holler at the cows, We would go out there and just start baying to the cows, and hearing our echo through the hills of East Texas, He was a pretty wealthy guy. He was a surgeon and a doctor. He was like the town doctor for over 50 years, I think, and his dad was a doctor too, and kind of a town doctor as well. He did like house calls on horseback, his dad did. But his dad died at like a young age. I'm not sure how he died. I think it might have been some type of pneumonia or cancer, maybe. I want to say pancreatitis or something. But he died pretty young. I think like in his maybe 30s or 40s. And I think that kind of inspired my grandpa to be a doctor. He He was pretty young when his dad died. So, anyway, back to my grandfather. He's becoming a doctor. He's going to, college and studying a lot of stuff, and he becomes this army doctor. He's in the army. He's an army doctor, and he goes off to Germany. They fly him over there to Nuremberg, and he's part of this branch called the War Crimes Commission. And he's doing these autopsies on bodies that have been exhumed for evidence in the Nuremberg trials. So he's one of, like, I think 5 or 9 doctors that's chosen to go over there. Like, War Crimes branch badge. They give him the badge, and I've got the badge. I can show it to you here in a little bit. They got this war crime. He's just going over there, and he's probably in his 20s, early 20s, and he's basically doing surgeries on, not just surgeries, but autopsies on bodies, for the evidence for the Nuremberg trials, to persecute the Germans. And his evidence was presented kind of in the first Nazi that was hung in the Nuremberg trials. So he was anyway, he was, pretty tough guy. He's out of the army. He's doing his doctor thing. He's taking care of hundreds of soldiers from World War II up there in St. Louis, and meets my grandmother in St. Louis, who's this blonde-haired, blue-eyed German. He said that her parents spoke Yiddish, which is interesting. So she's just enamored with my grandfather, and he met my grandmother, like, treating her dad in a hospital, I think, or something. He was treating somebody, and he flies her back to East Texas, and they pretty much start a family right away, and afterward, they buy a ranch and build a ranch and start raising cattle. And he's really big into Brahma cattle. He's one of the first people to get Brahma cattle here in East Texas. Really in America, I think. And that was back in the 50s, 1950s. So, anyway, he's writing these books about cattle and B6 and meat and protein and health. He's really into what makes people healthy, And he basically sort of discovers that vitamin B6 is beneficial for rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, neuropathy, and basically starts writing these books that describe that, certain meat is better than other meat and has more B6. Foods with B6, vitamin B6, help the body fight off, rheumatoid arthritis and all these inflammatory things, So he's doing that, and, he's having a good time. He's opening a church. He got a church, and he got this Korean guy to come preach this church. He had this guy flown in from Korea to come preach. And this church was just booming with this Korean preacher. And Grandpa's just loving it, this is all before I was born, but he's just loving it. And Grandma and him are just, two beautiful souls in East Texas. And they're saving lives. Grandpa's saving lives. He's doing surgeries on people that need help, that have cancerous things. He's doing leg amputations and mastectomies and removing people's colons and, just all kinds of surgeries he's doing. He's delivering babies. He's, seeing me as a little boy that's sick with who knows what and prescribing me, penicillin shots. He would shoot me in the ass with a shot of penicillin, and he would throw it in you like a dart. He was very old school about the way he injected the penicillin, and I had that a lot. My brother had that a lot. A lot of people remember him for that around the area. A lot of people remember him for his vitamin B6 research. He was interviewing people. He was kind of studying the way mothers would have babies when they were given vitamin B6. So he would, basically research this vitamin and interview tons of people, from black people to white people to Hispanic. Everybody was getting interviewed by him about their experience on taking vitamin B6. He would prescribe it 50 to 100 milligrams a day and watch them get slowly better. There's a famous violin player that performed at Carnegie Hall. Said that he helped him, with his pain in his wrists, and a lot of musicians would say, they were helped from the B6. It helped with their arthritis. So Grandpa really was on the forefront of this kind of holistic type medicine that was new. And I don't even think it was called holistic. It was just, he was kind of on the forefront of that at a very early age in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and well into the 80s. He was basically putting B6 in the conversation to every single one of his patients. So it was really kind of a, good thing to see. I would go out to church with him at this same church that he opened up in the 50s every Sunday, and we'd go out to lunch after church, and somebody would come up to Grandpa thanking him for the help that they received, and they would say, "Thank you for saving my life," sometimes, and seeing how popular he was among the community because he was helping people, was pretty phenomenal. It was pretty incredible. And I'm just this little kid with, spoiled little brat kid, not really realizing, what he had done, because I was such a, when you're a little kid, you're just off in your own little world. So, anyway, and Grandma, she was an artist. She basically was and a real deal like artist from the time my grandfather met her in St. Louis to her death. I mean, she painted and drew and painted just the most beautiful things. She painted covers for Vogue. Not covers. I think she may have painted a cover, but she painted advertisements for Vogue magazine back in the, 40s and 50s for women, like in dresses and things. She would like do these paintings of women in dresses, like for clothing advertisements. And she was an incredible artist. I mean, just phenomenal. And she kind of taught me a little bit. When I was like in senior in high school, they were like, look, you need to take an art class or you can't graduate. And I said, okay, I guess I'll take an art class. And I ended up liking it. And the teacher was a total a-hole. He was not the nicest guy. And he still gave me a decent grade. And I thought, well, that was cool, I guess. I was like 18 and didn't think nothing of it. And whatever. I guess I can draw a little bit. I drew a portrait. It was junk. I mean, really, it was, to me at the time, he thought I had a lot of potential. And Grandma always said that too. Grandma was like, you got a lot of potential, you should, use that. So grandmother was very encouraging. She was the most amazing person. I mean, just the sweetest, kindest person you could imagine. But anyway, she even did the stained glass windows in the church that my grandpa helped to get built. Just incredible designer and artist all around. She was known for her watercolors. Her watercolor paintings were just out of this world. They look like oil paintings, they would look so good, and she had this technique of like sort of bathing the paper in this water, it was pretty amazing. But she was working on paintings up until the day she died. So anyway, Grandpa would always enjoy watching her paint, and she kind of showed me a little bit about the idea of drawing a face, because she kind of showed me the proportions of the face, with the eyes to the nose, from the nose to the mouth to the chin. She would show me these proportions, and I would draw them. I got to where I could draw, a little bit, and that didn't really develop. I didn't really take that, seriously until she died. And then I started drawing all the time. I had sort of inherited her art bag. I had this bag, which was my grandpa's army bag, I think. And I just threw a bunch of my grandmother's, drawing pencils in there and just went to town and started drawing. And I drew for a long time, I like to draw. I still do. It's a little bit, neck breaking now. I need to find a different method of drawing where I'm not bending over looking at paper the whole time, you get that tech neck, like they say when people look at their phones too much, that definitely happens with the drawing, So anyway, Grandma and Grandpa were a huge part of my life. Grandpa was doing these surgeries with his vitamin B6 research and riding horses. Back to the riding horses. Grandpa loved to ride horses and raise cattle and work the ranch, So from what I've heard, he would be out there feeding cows and at wee hours of the morning, raising these Brahma cattle. He loved his Brahma cattle, and, just watching that. I think when I was a kid, like I saw a calf that wasn't coming out head first, birthing, and got to see the whole thing, as a little child, and um, got to see a lot of people's scars from his surgeries. A lot of people showed me their scars when I was a kid, and even to this day, like I've met people and they're like, check out this scar, your grandfather sewed me up here when I fell, or something like that. And it's pretty cool to see, someone help so many people. So um, I was just very fortunate as a human being to be raised in this world where I had a wealthy family and a wealthy upbringing, and got to see, you know, beautiful things around me. So, you know, those were some big shoes to fill. A lot of people would always say, you're going to be a doctor like your grandfather. And I would always kind of say, no, I think I'm just going to do maybe x-ray or lab or something, I'm just going to be a tech and move on my way. So apparently he was a really great surgeon, and I do remember him being a great surgeon because he would I just know, like, he was good with a knife, with a blade, because the way he would clean a fish after we would go fishing, like, he would dissect the fish, right there in front of me, and show me all these organs of the fish and the eyeballs and all the different parts of the fish when we would clean up the fish and go get ready to eat. It was pretty cool. I don't know. I remember that and all the fun experiences of just riding my bike out there on the land, on the farm, and just riding and just having fun at their house. And it was just a beautiful place to live. So, and be, just to be there, to witness that kind of beauty. As a child, it really sets the standard high, I guess you could say. So, I love my beautiful family, and I'm very thankful. And, today's Valentine's Day. So I really just love my family, and I love my beautiful wife. She is an amazing person, and she deserves a lot of recognition. She's raising our two beautiful children right now, and cooking dinners, and just being an amazing person with her new job, and she's taking care of everybody. It seems like she's just like the person who holds it all together, This woman just deserves everything from me. So I love her so much. She's out here disciplining our 3-year-old right now. So it's a beautiful thing to witness and watch. So just the way things have unraveled, the mystery that God has put in front of me, and the unraveling of his mystery has really made me love this life even more. So my grandma and grandpa, they were just living their best life, retirement, and grandma was still painting, and they were still going to church every Sunday. And one afternoon, they were checking their mail, and grandpa and grandma both were struck by a car checking their mail. They were T-boned as they were basically crossing the highway to get into their driveway. They were T-boned by this Dodge Ram truck, and they were both killed pretty instantly checking their mail. And then after that happened, I started, I went through this sort of shock. It was very shocking. It was right before Christmas. And, we were very just sort of shocked. And I started drawing a lot after that. And then I kind of went through a downward spiral, came out of the downward spiral, went back to college, became a lab technician, and had my 2 children with my wife. My 2 beautiful children, started a beautiful family, and now here I am. I'm here, still, surviving, and enjoying life, and happy as can be. And I think that, after all of that, and witnessing my brother go through a similar downward spiral, even before my grandparents had died, he was going in and out of downward spirals. Coming up out of all of that has sort of taught me that, life's not so bad, and we take a lot of things for granted, and we don't really kind of know what we got till it's gone. And I'm trying to be more appreciative of what we have here, and it's taken me a long time to realize how beautiful this world is. And it's taken me a long time. And I think people need to be reminded how beautiful it is. They need to be reminded. People are forgetful. We're not machines. We forget things. They have to be reminded. We're faulty at heart. God didn't make us perfect for a reason. So, I don't know what that reason is. And I'm happy with that. I'm okay not having to know every single little detail and truth to every little thing. We need to be reminded. And I will probably forget and fall short another day and be reminded again and be slapped in the face one more time, or 1,000 more times. We are here to serve and protect the beauty of life. And unfortunately, many people never get to that point of realization. And that's okay too. I will help remind them. And I have brothers and sisters out there that will help remind me. So I think it's good. Life is good. And we need to keep on keeping on. Flying through space. Enjoying the road to eternity. So, it's a beautiful journey. And at this point, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the future here. I'm alone right now on this podcast, and I wish I had someone here, but, inspiration just sort of comes at the whim of creative thinking and thoughts, and creative days versus non-creative days. So I'm happy to know that eventually I'm going to have more people on, and we're going to talk more about, you know, music and God and the beautiful things around us. I love to talk about things, and I love to hear about things. So if anyone wants to come talk on this other microphone here about whatever they want to, that's awesome. Or I'll just sit here and talk to myself. I mean, that's fine too. So I think it's just fine either way. But I just wanted to get some of the creativity out there and test out this green screen behind me and these vocals. I'm trying to test this out. My family is being extremely loud outside the door, so I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. So, it's all a big test, and God's here testing us every day. So I'm happy for it. I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to be a part of it. I know many days I don't look too happy on my face. I may not wear a big smile on my face. Well, that's because I don't look in the mirror all the time. And I wasn't raised up to be a cheerleader, I just wasn't. And, not everybody's wearing the same face. Everybody's got a different face. So, if you don't like my face, that's fine. I can't help that. No one can help it. So, I love you all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Good night.